We are less than 72 hours since the Level Up experience. Sitting here, André and I, talking about the incredible event that went down on Friday, the Level Up experience. And if those of you out there who want to see the industry change, want to see it improve, level, and be leveled up, and either you have begun to take action towards it or just started talking about it, but maybe you're feeling a bit lonely out there in terms of who can I be doing this with? I don't want to be doing this alone. It's hard alone. There's definitely a movement you can be a part of. Reach out or check out Duayne's stuff. Check out Level Up, and definitely something that you can be a part of and be a part of making a huge impact on the improving and the leveling up in this industry.
And in this podcast, we literally went through every speaker from the day, going what were the big key takeaways from our perspective that we felt like was like groundbreaking. And so in this podcast, you'll be able to get our perspective on it, on the different speakers, and there's some real key valuable golden nuggets that we're excited to see kind of come to fruition in the builders' lives, in our lives, and everybody that's going to listen to this.
Welcome to the Inspired Builders Podcast, your source for game-changing conversations with Australia and New Zealand's leading builders and industry experts. Each week, we deliver real stories and proven strategies from those who've been in your shoes. Ready to build something remarkable? Let's dive in.
Awesome. Anj, how are you?
I'm so good, man. Like last Friday, the event that happened in Brisbane,
The Level Up experience
was just epic.
Yeah.
And it took the whole weekend just to kind of recover and stuff. But just being here this morning, and I'm really excited for what we're about to jump into.
Yeah. Well, today,
maybe you can share.
Yeah. So today we actually put this little slot in the calendar a little while back, knowing that the event was going to be Friday, knowing that there was going to be an incredible amount of takeaways from that. And we had incredible national, international speakers. And so we're going to share some of that, our insights and what we took away from that now. But yeah, no doubt it would have been a weekend of recovery for you because you were speaking on Friday. And so you had all of that prep as well. And no doubt a little bit of nerves, but you spoke phenomenally. Phenomenally. Anj, I can't tell you how many people come up and said, man, that was impressive. That was amazing. That really struck a chord with a lot of people.
It was good because it kind of it puts you out of your comfort zone. Like I think there was definitely nerves.
Looked like you've been speaking for 10 years. So I thought that one of the best ways so we don't miss anything is to kind of just go through some of the speakers and stuff like that. We've got some mixed notes here. I mean, you and I both at certain stages had to step out for certain things. So combined, hopefully we'll cover enough.
Definitely.
But yeah, let's jump in.
And the reason why we're doing it.
The reason why is there were obviously a lot of people that I spoke to prior to the event that wanted to get to the event, just couldn't. And so we thought, well, okay, we know there's going to be an exceptional level and caliber of knowledge and wisdom shared at the event. Why don't we do our very best to try and transfer that out to a wider audience? I'm not sure what the plan is in terms of whether the event was recorded or how anyone can get access to that. But it was a great event, and so we just want to help share it, and hopefully the next one's even bigger and better, no doubt. The feedback from everyone there was we're looking forward to the next one, and it's going to be bigger and better. So
that's it. And one thing I really love is like just sitting this morning, quickly looking over our notes that you took on the day and that I was able to take as well, and kind of going, wow, the perspective you got was like, wow, that's cool. Yeah, I didn't think about that. And I think there's a lot of people that even went to the event that's going to go, wow, that's right. That's actually powerful. And I think the biggest thing you can do after an event like this is just easily just to fall in that trap of just going back to what you do normally.
Yeah.
And if we're able to take those golden nuggets and then go, how do we apply that to our business? Then it's just going to obviously reap more fruit and reward.
Totally. And there was so much information conveyed and communicated. It'd be too much to, because I know that after the certain speakers, you'd be like, my brain's just spinning with the amount of knowledge they just shared. It was somewhat challenging to then try and reflect on it with someone straight away. You kind of had to let some time pass. Whereas now, having gone over the notes again, it's a lot clearer. You almost needed like an Monday event, for everyone to just debrief and share and talk about action plans and stuff like that. So anyways, we'll jump in. So there are a number of fantastic speakers, which we're going to go through. One of the guys that was there presenting to really help kick off the day and did a phenomenal job at this is a man by the name of Hector, specializes in sort of holistic health and amazing. Just the level of energy was incredible. The joke was being, I think, Chilean. He has a strong accent and not many people could understand what he was saying. But no one cared. Everyone was like, man, this guy just has such energy. And it really brought the room alive, especially it was a pretty cold, wet morning. And so to do that was no small feat. And then he just shared some great stuff, just reminding, like a lot of the stuff maybe our listeners would have heard about, especially if they have gone down the path of just healthier habits. So just drinking more water is a big one. But he said, just putting a little pinch of Celtic salt in your water so that your body can absorb the water. Otherwise, all that drinking, you then got to pee it off. Another one was just reducing caffeine after midday or 6 hours before you plan on going to bed. And then no screen time, I think about an hour before bed, and try and avoid screen time for like the 90 minutes after waking up, which I think is probably one of the hardest ones, because when you wake up, it's so easy to like just go. Yeah, that's it. Like, what was your key thing that you got out of even him kind of sharing on those things? Like, why is it so important to even put in the thing of like reducing caffeine like 6 hours before bed, or taking that lemon and apple cider vinegar in the morning? Why are all those things in combination so important? Probably maybe from not necessarily from a construction perspective, but just anyone. Like the one tool that you get to walk around with wherever you go is your body, and that's going to follow you wherever you go. And so that's that. If your body's not feeling healthy and well and fit and ready to attack the day, you're going to be starting behind the eight ball every time. And if you do that consistently, then you're going to end up very far behind compared to where you would like to be, or where your, let's say, the level of action you're taking might not then be bringing the results you're hoping for. Yeah,
that's it. Because if you're wanting to level up and you're wanting to push it to another level, you got to kind of put these things in place, because otherwise, like this is going to help you and help you lead the team and help you deliver better for clients and so on.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
He was fantastic starting out the day, because he did this thing where he was like standing on his toes.
Yeah, that's right.
And he was doing like these little, where you push yourself up with your toes. And he was like, it all, like if you do that, it kind of drops the blood down to your calves or something, he was saying.
Yeah, sort of, pulls blood away from just at the heart to all over the body and circulates the blood better. Another one, now you mentioned that I really took away from him is, if you're ever having to talk to a room or get people psyched up, or, getting people to have a physical feeling towards what you're trying to teach them. And the whole day was about leveling up. So you got the whole room to reach for the sky. So everyone raise your hand, reach for the sky. And then he said, all right, now reach even higher. And so then you feel that stretch. And he goes, cool, that's where we're going. And it was like, whoa. You've now attached this tangible physical feeling to what we're going to be here today to do, to really push and go higher. So I'm reaching for the sky. All right, now go higher. So that was really cool. Little takeaway.
That's fantastic. Okay, well, let's keep going.
Okay.
We got
a few people
to get through. So the second speaker, actually Duayne came in between that.
Yeah, Duayne came in and shared a little bit about just what his the why was behind the day and why he put this together, which is really about leveling up. He's passionate about seeing this industry improved for a number of reasons, but one of the reasons was also just like an environment where guys can learn together, can share, don't have to keep if they're struggling with something, you don't have to keep it to yourself. Creating a different, a better, healthier industry.
That's right. And where did that all stem from? Because obviously we had Duayne on one of our last podcasts where he kind of shared in like 2 or 3 hours, he shared that whole story of how this all came about. But like in short, what was the key thing with Duayne in that narrative and the stories that you tell yourself?
Yeah, so the challenges that Duayne's been through and recovered from and grown upon, I think he struggled because he had to do that alone. And he was like, it doesn't have to be done alone. Now that he's started to create this movement, there's more people involved, and so he wants to grow that. That's probably...
Yeah.
If I've understood his passion correctly. Is there anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, the gist of how it kind of related to me, or how I understood it, was just like, the narrative that, everyone comes from a different upbringing or a different way of getting to where they are now. And a lot of times the stories that you tell yourself, you can kind of fall in the trap of staying where you are. And that's why... that's why clients work with me this way, or that's why this is happening in my life, and this is you keep.
That's why I keep failing, or that's why this doesn't go my way, or that's why.
Right. Yeah, and he kind of goes with no. Everything comes back to you. You can make the choice to make the difference, and go. You know what? No, that's not it. And you start sort of reframing the mindset and also the way you talk in those situations, going, no, we can do this. We can be better. We can level up. And so that's obviously a big thing why he got these speakers on the day is to... Yeah,
that idea of nothing happens to you, it happens because of you.
That's right.
He quoted that from Grant Cardone, and he said that made a big shift. When that really sunk in, he realised, well, if he wants things to change, it's going to be him who's going to change them.
That's
Can't sit around and wait for it. Another great analogy that he used, and I'd heard it ages ago, it was really good to be reminded about it, that idea of the buffalo mindset.
Oh, yeah, I love that one.
So,
that was so cool.
It's so easy for us to run from challenges or to avoid them or put them off and kick the can down the road. And he used the analogy as, most animals, as the storm comes, you run from the storm. The problem with that is as you're running, it catches up to you. And you can imagine you're traveling at a slower pace than the storm. So in an event, it just overtakes you and you just sit in the storm longer. He said, buffalo studies have shown what they do. They have an instinct. They know that if they see a storm coming on the horizon, then the herd will run towards the storm, knowing that as the storm passes over, they're running through it. They're going to endure the storm for a lot shorter time and be out the other side in the sun again.
That's right.
And just a great analogy of if you've got challenges and problems, face them. And a big one he shared as well is there's always a solution. You just got to find it.
Yeah. That's huge. And obviously there was heaps of stuff that he kind of shared more on during the day. But those are like key things. I think that it's the narrative that you tell yourself, and that you can change and you can be better. Everyone can. Doesn't matter what your past is. There is future. There is hope. You can do that. And like you said, the buffalo run into the storm and get through it. And that kind of then leads us to the next one, which is Rick Rushton. And
amazing.
What was the big key takeaway for you from that?
Oh, I had lots of takeaways from him. But a big thing from him, because he is an author as well, a speaker, and he talks a lot about connection and communication and listening. Which really resonates with us because we're big on story, which is all about connecting, and we do so that through communicating. We communicate through stories, and one thing that we have to do is obviously listen to understand our builders. But that idea of when you interact with someone, if you can just focus on, all right, how do I want? Well, one thing is listen, ask questions and listen, but how can I? How is this person going to feel when we finish this interaction? How are they going to feel about me and this interaction? Are they going to feel good, like I listened? I'm not sure if he explicitly said that in his talk, but that was kind of a piece that I put together from some of the stuff that he mentioned.
He definitely did mention that, yeah.
He talked about these three different colors because he was trying to understanding people is very important when it comes to business. If you're going to help, essentially, at the end of the day, if you're going to help someone, to help them, you're going to need to make the sale and convince them that they need to go with you. So to do that effectively, not every one person's the same. So you need to understand people and read people, and that's that's a whole school of thought. Whether it be Myers-Briggs personality tests or DISC personality profiles, or there's lots of different ways you can look at it. But he just went through a very simple format of red, yellow, aqua, and blue. Red being direct and sharp, people who straight to the point, give the information. Yellow is energetic and chatty. Someone just wants to chat. Aqua, reserved, thoughtful. I'll come. Let me go away and give some thought to that. I'll come back to you. Or, the kid at the back of the class just sits and thinks, doesn't raise the hand.
Very clever, but they just sit and think at the back.
And then blue, very linear thinkers. 1 + 1 = 2. Why are we going outside the lines here?
Yeah.
And just try to simplify that down for the listeners down the day. Like, if you can understand just the simplicity of this, that'll change the way you communicate about what you do. Trying to be super chatty with someone who's direct and sharp, they're going to be frustrated. Maybe a chatty person works with an aqua person, because an aqua person can just sit and listen.
What was the key thing for you from that? Like explaining how each personality is kind of different. What was the key takeaway for you with that? And that would be kind of relatable to...
You've got to put yourself out there. Was probably a big takeaway. There's no successful hermits, is what he said. So even if you're super reserved, even if you're nervous, if you're anxious, if you just listen to those feelings and thoughts and you stay in that corner, nothing's going to happen.
That's right.
So you need to push yourself outside the comfort zone.
Yeah.
Go and meet that person. Knock on that door. Follow up with that person. Yeah.
That's cool. You know what? One thing that really stood out to me, it's such a simple thing. He was like, because he's all about connection. So when he came running in when the music started, he was just like, you could see this guy's here to connect. And straight away people started connecting with him, and he was just getting everyone involved, which he did a phenomenal job at. And then he was able to go with the thing about like, so generally when someone's contacting a builder or a trade or someone in the construction industry, it was like, oh, hi, how you going? Yeah, no, sorry, I can't be at my phone. Leave a message. And it'd literally just be this same type of message in their voicemail. And he was like, what he does is, and this is where like no one's doing it, it's like he literally goes, hi, this is Rick. Sorry, I can't be at the phone today, but I'm at an event, say in Brisbane. I will be back at my phone this afternoon between 4 and 6, and tonight when I fly back to Melbourne, and I will be able to respond to you then. I hope you have a fantastic day.
Yeah, so he changes his voice message almost daily.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Like that's quite a bit. Like,
and one thing from that, now you mentioned that stood out to me was he's had people that have shared with him like, what? Really? You do that? That's crazy, and people who've tried calling him, then they hear that. And he goes, that's just something very small. He's just built into his habit and his repertoire. But now that really then stands out. Anyone who tries to reach out to him is like wowed without him having to even interact with them yet. So that's just something small. And so he encouraged guys to, it wasn't so much the
voicemail.
It wasn't so much the voicemail, what he said or anything like that.
No.
It's the habit. It's the bringing the energy to attack the day every day was kind of what he was getting at.
Yes.
So if you're willing to change your voicemail every day, you are willing to make the most of that day, which, I thought was an awesome little tip.
And I guess people then prospective clients, they'll feel that energy. They'll feel connected. They go, oh my word, this guy's on it.
Yes.
So what does the rest of his process look like? Must be the same. Yeah, I want to talk to this guy.
Yeah.
So, real opportunity there.
But big thing on there was just energy. Energy is everything. You're right, totally. The energy he brought to stage, the interacting, totally. Yeah.
And then hit us off with the next guys, because we'll keep going.
So the next guys were Dan and Ed from Trademut. A lot of the guys out there listening to this would know about Trademut. And so what they came and really spoke about, they gave a bit of a background to Trademut, but they really then shifted the focus to TX. TX being the acronym for This is a Conversation Starter, but TX is now a new business they've started, which is sort of self-funded with their own profits, and they've got now a team of 11 psychologists that it's a early, so it's not someone who's it's not necessarily for, there are other services out there for depression and suicide ideation and things like that. This is for, if you want to call it, early intervention. So if you're having a really hard day and it just feels like day after day it's getting a bit really tough and hard and you have no one to speak to, reach out to, then this is who you'd call, and really focused around truckers, farmers and blue collar workers, and shared some stories about that. And yes, it's an amazing service.
Oh, I love what they're doing, because it's just like, it's so needed. They were even giving figures of like people, like farmers that are like their 70s.
Yeah.
You kind of thought they figured it out and they don't need anything like that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, definitely. They shared stories of that demographic, the older, 60 plus, even 70 plus, that you think those guys are closed up. They won't talk to anyone. But it just goes to show how important having this service like that is, because, they have had guys in that demographic reach out, and it's been a game changer for them. Because prior to that, they've had, they've bottled it up for 50 years, and can finally just have someone to reach out to. And you get the same psychologist when you reach out. So it's not, I talked to Jenny today, then I talk to Max to next week. Yeah, I get the same person.
It's important, because then you can keep that conversation going, and
you can build trust. Yeah. And trust is an important part of that process.
Love what those guys are up for and what they're doing.
And then who was next, Ange?
Then my song came up, and I was introduced to Run Up and everything.
And then everything went, after that's Blur?
Literally, this is these headlights, and
they were bright.
Yeah, but it was, I think, just being able to be up there and being able to share with builders and people in the construction industry. We had designers, we had trades, we had all different types of people there. And we've been in the privileged or the cool situation where this is something that we've been so focused on for years now. Is how do we help builders kind of stand out?
Yeah, I just want to, shout out to your face and just say you did a phenomenal job.
Thanks,
I was really blown away.
Yeah.
So we put a lot of time and effort into preparing for this, and it was cool to be invited and involved as a business. And I'm so glad you spoke because you nailed it.
Yeah,
and to be able to come and speak purely on story, I think was really special, because that is what we are most passionate about. And we really, truly believe that every builder has a unique story.
That's right.
And you really highlighted that, but then also highlighted the very practical side of what does story do for a business, and what role can you play as a storyteller and as a guide for the clients out there. And I looked around the room. My notes are, I didn't write any notes for your talk. We had lots to talk about that topic
exactly
beforehand.
Everything about it.
But I looked around the room, and everyone was just leaning in. So you told a great story, so they lent in, but also made it very practical. And I saw pens writing serious notes. And I saw a lot of the key speakers, in fact, the keynote speaker of the day, also nodding his head, smiling, writing notes, agreeing with what you were sharing. So, and he came up and in his presentation also backed up, what were you saying, which was cool.
Yeah.
The next speaker, Ange.
Let's do it.
Dr. Joe Lukens.
So this is, I think, a lot of what Duayne and what he's been through, and in this creating this movement and kind of getting this day organized, was with Dr. Joe Lukens. And now she...
To give some backstory, sorry.
Yes, give some backstory.
Listeners that might then listen in when they hear this, and she only shared this humbly towards the end of the presentation. So I think if I heard correctly, she was Jonathan Thurston's private personal sports coach, sports psychologist for his entire career.
Yeah.
So she's definitely got her pips and stripes.
She does.
In her career.
100%. So... Duayne actually told me about her, obviously, before the day when we were having chats with Duayne Pearce, and one of the books that she's written is The Elite, and so I was able to read that beforehand or listen to it, and then at least it gave me a bit more perspective for the day. But man, she was like, her presentation's definitely like one of the key ones that I really, for me, stood out on the day. I guess. It all comes back to that narrative that we tell ourselves, like we all have different upbringings. So just coming back to what we said earlier and how you can kind of change that. And there's ways to kind of start thinking differently, which then kind of changes the whole trajectory of where you can go in the future with your business, with your family, and just everything that you do. I guess what was the big takeaway for you, JP?
A lot of notes. A few things. One, this is something I was sharing with guys about the event coming up, because you shared with me about what you'd read about with her and what Duayne had shared with me about Dr. Joe Lukens. And the big thing there was just, we're all going to face challenges and hurdles, and we're going to get knocked down we're going to need to get back up. And our ability to do so, and the speed at which we can get back up, or how we approach challenges, like the buffalo running the storm, is all going to be dictated by our headspace and how we approach it. And so it's very important that we have the best possible mindset to start with. And she just broke that down in many ways. But a great example of, when there's that pressure and going, oh man, and you can have, if I make this really relatable for a lot of our builders out there, you've got a whole bunch of work in your pipeline. And I'm sure this happened to many guys, and definitely in the last couple of years. Pipeline's looking good, and then all of a sudden, job drops out. And it's like, WTF, what is going on? Like,
yeah, huge.
What have I done, or what is going on? Why? I thought I had a pipeline for a year, and now I've got the 6-month hole, and the jobs that are remaining sitting there look shaky. How do you keep your cool? How do you keep level-headed? And she gave an analogy of John Thurston, I think in like 2015, grand final.
Yes.
2 minutes to go or something like that, and they're down, and he gets the ball and gets the opportunity to make this drop kick, and he does it, drop kicks it, hits a post and misses. And you think, oh my goodness, grand final, you're down. This is the opportunity to make that kick and score the points you need to win, and you just, you're supposed to be a good kicker, and you just missed for the entire team. All that work, that entire season, your whole career, you've just thrown it away, And she talked about, he had a moment there. He looked up the sky, shared some words of, damn, that wasn't any good. And then switched back and went back into the game mode. And he was able to then leave that emotion there, get back in. In the final 2 minutes, they did manage to score some more points, and they won. But it could have been a very different story had he not kept level-headed after that and left that emotion there. And I thought, man, that's when you've got like all the supporters, millions of supporters that you feel like you're going to let down, that could so easily have gotten to his head. And that's a great example of someone who's worked on their headspace and can keep his cool under pressure.
Yeah. Because they know those guys, like she worked with him his whole career, and like how phenomenal. Like, I'm not a rugby league person necessarily, but like what he's accomplished in rugby league is phenomenal from what I've heard. And you're going to go through trials, you're going to go through challenges, and it's more so how do you handle those moments. And so like you said there, I think, and that's where she kind of shared on this thing, you got past, you got future, and you got present. Our bodies are in the present, but it's easy for your mind to jump to the past or go to the future. And sometimes that's going to happen to everybody, but you have to be able to pull back your mind and be in the present. If things come like this, where you're losing jobs or things are happening within your business.
Yeah. And I guess probably to bring that all together, the simplicity of, as she raised, be very mindful of your thoughts, because your thoughts lead to your emotions and how you feel, and how you feel then can often, does influence and dictate your actions. And so if you start to lose control of your thoughts, that can lead to some pretty detrimental feelings, and then your actions are not going to be at the optimum, which means the outcome is going to be suboptimal. And then that feedback loop can be really bad. Or you can change it and have the complete opposite effect.
That's right. I think it'd be epic to get her on the podcast and kind of chat about this stuff.
That'd be incredible.
Yeah. So
really, really incredible.
We'll definitely reach out.
But lots more we could go through, but let's keep moving ahead. One more thing is, which I did enjoy is, and this is, I hear this from a few of our guys, and that's why I want to share it. Success leaves clues, and disappointments leave lessons. It's just a great little takeaway there. And then just for those guys who wake up in the middle of the night, can't sleep, shared a great little tip in terms of just trying to be really present with focusing on, I can feel the bed under me, I can feel my pillow pushing against the back of my head, I can feel the weight of the blanket on me, and just go through as many things as you can. I thought I'd just share that because every now and again I'll come across a guy, we're talking and they're just stressed out and not getting much sleep. So maybe that's a takeaway for someone.
That's great. No, that's awesome. Well, we've got a couple more. We literally got a couple more minutes left.
Okay.
So let's go bang, bang, bang. Okay, so a key guy on the day that's come all the way from the US.
Yep.
Share on that.
So the keynote speaker, the big guy of the day, was Matt Risinger. Matt Risinger, for those who don't know, I'm sure many of you do know him, but for those of you who don't, he would be probably the leading guy in the world when it comes to building science, and definitely in the practical sense as well. He builds what he preaches. Has amazing channel, socials and out there, and heavy on education. So he shared with us a whole bunch of things, but one thing that I really, really was impressed with him is how open and transparent he was about mistakes, naive mistakes, very early in his career. He didn't know what, when he was working for someone else, they were just given this product and said, cool, put this cladding up on the house, and didn't know what the ramifications were of that. And so fast forward, all this house has had issues afterwards, mold, things like that, water damage. And so he had to come in and then was a part of, fixing it and rectifying it. And then when he started his own business, even there were lessons there that he learned, losing money on some of the first jobs he did, letting clients choose the cheapest possible, contractors for roofing, and inexperienced, cheap contractors. And so he just shared a lot of these lessons. But you think, oh man, like, wow, just wow, coming from that previous to now where he is amazing. But it just goes to show that you can choose, doesn't matter how bad things are, things can be really bad. You can have all those issues and cause all those problems, but you get to choose how you want to turn that around. And what do you want to make of that? So big mistake, you have to fall on your face and learn. Cool, you get to choose. What do you want to do with that? Do you want that to be a big learning turning point for you? Awesome. Let it be that, And then he went on to just talk about his career and how then things started to change, the opportunities that people gave him, and then just the non-stop learning for him and going, okay, this could be done better. Let me go find a product out there that is, okay, awesome, found one, and he's just documented a lot of that journey on his socials, on his YouTube and stuff like that.
Yeah, and he's obviously grown such a big audience in the States, and all these people that follow him. And I just jumped on some of his videos, and from like a construction, the science behind construction, man, there's some phenomenal stuff for those that don't know him yet. And I think a majority of people would know him. And that kind of like, I'm going to jump to the next one, which is Paula. Sorry, Paula, if I pronounce your name wrong. Paula Baker Laporte. I think that's it. Eco Nest Architecture, Healthy Home Design. And she kind of like, in some ways, talked about, I guess, opened my eyes to what a healthy home looks like in different ways, and how to think about creating healthy homes that basically create better health for the people that are actually going to live in it. And I think that was a massive takeaway. I think it's a topic that I haven't really explored myself too much, but it really opened my eyes with what she spoke about, hand in hand with what Matt was talking about as well, with building science.
Yeah, that's something. I mean, unfortunately, I wasn't able to set up to be there for her talk, but the little bit I did pick up on was just, so many of us, because we're not exposed to the learnings or the education on that space until you hear about it and then you lean in. And obviously a lot of the builders there on Friday are beginning to lean in or have lent in on this space for a while in terms of building healthier homes. But it's so important because, and I don't know about you, but growing up, a house was just, it was your home, totally, but you just go and you live there. What about it? It's brick exactly. And, it's... there's a house. There's not like no one. The concept of a healthy home didn't. If there was mold, you bleach it, or if it's really bad, cool, you got to pull it down and fix it up. But yeah, this whole space of you spend a lot of time in your home. You think about what are you exposing yourself to? You know, would you sit next to, if you knew the swing was bad, would you go and sit next to it? No. Okay, but you're living in it, you're breathing it, you're raising your kids in it.
That's right.
It's important to be mindful of it.
Yeah, it's huge. And I guess then, so that was phenomenal. And then I guess moving on to Helen Rogerson, everyday leadership, very much about leadership, team. Yeah, that was cool. Like, what was your big takeaway? And give us just a quick glimpse of her.
Yeah, so she actually, her and Duayne got connected because her husband he's a contractor and happened to be working on Duayne's site one day, and he observed Duayne's leadership on site and was really impressed with it. And so he then shared that with his wife, and she actually ended up writing about that piece in her book. Anyways, later on got connected, and a lot of her sort of stuff Duayne's put into action in his team and stuff like that. But her, everyday leadership is so important. We can lead in all areas, at business, in our families. And I like that she emphasized energy. Energy was definitely a consistent piece throughout the different talks, but be very mindful of the energy that you're bringing. So, and, you know, Duayne talked about, you know, your morning routine and setting yourself up for success. So if you have that energy, it means you're getting to site with that energy, and then you're leading your team with that energy on site. Whereas if you're turning up in a real bad slump, then let's say, you know, heading south, cool. Then you're going to bring that whole team south, as opposed to if you're more. And look, I really take my hat off to anyone, but definitely those in, titled leadership positions, business owners, such, definitely. There is, you're going to need some bigger shoulders, or work on your shoulders, because that is important. You do need to come to the team every day with that level of energy. And that was, really important reminder. And I would encourage business owners to share that message with their team, because you imagine it would also relieve you a lot of pressure if your whole team was conscious of that. And so imagine if all of your team members down to the apprentices were turning up with that energy, then you could help lead and carry each other. And she just highlighted, you know, how many people do you think are very self-aware of themselves? You know, self-aware of how I feel and what's affecting me. And, you know, and she's like, you know, people thought, the amount of people that were in this one study, of all the people asked that question, turned out 95% of people thought that they were self-aware. But with further testing, they found only 15% were self-aware. So a lot of us are not actually self-aware. And so she just encouraged us to become more self-aware of how we're feeling going into things, and being very intentional about affecting others positively, rather than someone who's in a negative mindset or something like that, then having that infecting us in some ways, or negatively affecting us and our mindset and our attitude and energy.
Yeah. No, that's it. There was so much good stuff, because she talked about how working with horses.
Yeah.
How people with a horse, like they can feel you on a lot more. And so that's how she works with people, with business owners and leaders, is them actually working with horses, and then they start to learn and become more self-aware about how they're carrying themselves, and how's that then obviously influencing their team. Yeah. Which, if you're self-aware about that, then you can do something about it. You can change it. You can become better.
I had a little bit embarrassed to share this, but after her talk, I was standing up the back, and she was standing there. All of a sudden, she was next to me. I was like, "Oh, I better say something." She's one of the key speakers of the day, and my head was just so full of information, and everyone I was meeting, my brain just went into panic mode, and all I could think about was horses. And I was like, "Well, I'm allergic to horses. What do I say?" And so I was like, "Oh, I really liked your talk." And she's like, "Oh, what did you take away most from it?" And I was like, "Damn, why'd you ask me right now?" And then I was like, "The horses I thought was interesting, but I'm allergic to horses." I was like, "What the heck? What are you saying?" And I was just so amazed and grateful for her graciousness. And she was like, "Oh, that's interesting. That's, you know, that must be really challenging then, you know, with, you know, puffy eyes and dealing with stuff like that." And I was like, yeah, that's right. And she just let me, I waffled, and she let me waffle. And then she's like, "Oh, do you have any pets at home?" And I was like, "Yeah, I got a dog." And I was amazed that just her level of presence and graciousness towards me. And, I was hoping to navigate the conversation, and she had to navigate it because I was just tripping on my words and couldn't think clearly. So a big shout out to Helen. Thank you very much for that.
Yeah. There's so much more we can share about like Helen as well with the things that she shared. But for time, we got literally 2 minutes left in this. And so we had the panels in the day.
Yeah.
Maybe if you want to give us just a...
Yeah, so there were 2 great panels there. One was a whole bunch of guys that were... it wasn't a shout out necessarily for Live Life Build, but it just happened that the guys on the panel were part of Live Life Build and just shared just about where and why it's so important for this industry to improve. We've got to take action towards that as individuals in our own businesses, and come to events like this, invite other builders, and yeah, there was a ton shared there. And then the other fantastic panel was a whole range of fantastic women in construction, and that was a mixture of local business owners, local builders, female builders, as well as Paula was on the panel as well. And yeah, Helen ran that panel as well. So really, yeah, in terms of takeaways, unfortunately, I had to step out for that one. But the little bit I did hear was just the importance of each generation having to pave the way for the next generation. So, yeah, we want to see change happen, really fast, and we want to work towards that, as much change as possible, but also keep in mind that it's going to take time. And so having a long-term approach is really healthy, because we can start to make changes now for our kids to come into a much better industry.
Yeah, so true, Jobs. And you know what's funny is when they said, how many women here are in the business, say, with their husband, and like the people in the room putting up their hands, and I was just amazed about behind every husband, there's a wife that's like working super hard, and they are so much behind this whole thing, the force behind that, like the business growing and succeeding and everything. And just want to put a massive hand, like almost like just want to give them a clap of like,
huge,
just really appreciate it. Just seeing us working with all the builders and seeing the wives involved, it's amazing to see.
Yeah, they're I would say the backbone to this industry.
Yeah,
because while we often see maybe the husbands, the partners being the face of the business, that business wouldn't be running the way it is if it wasn't for the wives and partners.
Yeah. Because Duayne was saying, like, a big thing is that he believes that if a builder knows their numbers and they're able to work in the wife, because a lot of times wives are just working in the business and they're not getting the financial salary or something for it. They're volunteering.
Just due to necessity.
And really, no, they should be respected appreciated and respected in a way that, let's have the salary, or let's know the numbers so that they are an employee. They are paid like a proper business owner.
Because they bring immense value to the team and to their clients.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It was actually really, it sort of gave me goosebumps. And maybe it's because of the caliber and the type of people who are showing up on an event like this, guys who want to be better, improve, and maybe they are a bit more self-aware. And there was just a huge amount of appreciation, and you could see heads nodding and hands getting raised when it just came to like acknowledging the females in construction and the females in the businesses and their wives and their partners. And it was just really, really cool to see.
It is so true. So we are at, let's have a look here. So we've got, I guess in sort of summary, James, like if you had to kind of sum up everything we've just spoken about, and there's so much more we could have spoken about, what would you say are like the key takeaway?
Oh man, probably that it's really exciting to see that this industry is being improved. It is getting better. It is leveling up, and you don't have to, if you want that and desire for that and want to be a part of that, it doesn't have to be alone. There is this movement happening, and you can be a part of it. It's really, really, really special and powerful.
Yeah, so good. And I'm sure there's...
For yourself?
For me, 100%. It's that improving of the industry and that I think the accumulation of everybody coming together, learning from each other, it all comes down to this. It makes businesses operate better. And then, which then translates to families being able to be a family and what they are meant to be and stuff. It all comes back to like a healthy family that is able to be there for their family. And because really, if we think about it, your business, your building business is a vehicle for your family. It's not meant to be the main thing in your life. It's really your wife or your husband, your kids, and those people around you that you can. And if we can get to a stage where the businesses are so like they just get better and better, and it's because everyone's jumping in and helping each other in a way, then it's just going to improve the whole of Australia, the whole of the world.
Absolutely.
It's a very vague sort of answer there. But.
No, I like that. And so I'm really excited to see just the level of energy again of everyone there on the day and what they were willing to discuss and share and note down and where this is going to go. So I look forward to maybe even checking back in on this stuff 6 months or a year from now after the next event and going, well, what have we seen happen and change in industry? Because no doubt, as Warren Buffett talks about, compounding is or compound interest, is the eighth wonder of the world. But that idea of this continual energy input from people in the industry, and as this movement grows, there's going to be a compounding effect that happens. So it's really cool to see that.
Yeah, 100%. Thank you, JP.
Thanks, Owen.
Appreciate the chat on a Monday morning.
Monday morning.